All right, guys, today we're going to talk more about rehab and we're going to talk more about the stages that we go through. So in the last video, we talked about how to progress, what progression is, and when to progress. Today, we're going to talk more about the stages. So it'll make more sense when you're looking at your rehab program, and when to progress will make more sense, or how to progress will make more sense. Now, as we look at each stage through the rehab process, just keep in mind that it's not quite so sequential in reality, but this is a nice, easy way to break down each stage, okay? Okay, so when we're talking about our rehab program, we really have two phases that we're going to break it down into, and those phases are going to have different stages within them, okay? So our first phase is the range of motion phase. So first stage of the range of motion is painful range of motion. Okay, we want to work through the pain and increase our range of motion to full range of motion, even with pain. Okay, that's going to be our first step. Once we can accomplish a full range of motion, we're going to start working on pain-free full range of motion. This is going to be concurrent with some of our strengthening phase. Okay, we can't get totally pain-free full range of motion very quickly, okay? So we're going to have to work on full range of motion first, and then we'll work on pain-free full range of motion for a little while. The next phase after that, phase 2, is going to be strength, okay? So strength can get a little complicated or confusing depending on which joint we're looking at, because we break strength down into 3 stages, okay? So first is going to be strength in a single plane. So when I'm talking about single plane, I mean we're coming out here, we're coming up here, or we're doing rotation. We're only focused on one plane at a time. As we get better, we get stronger in single plane movements, then we start adding in 2 planes of motion at once. Okay, we start adding in 2 planes at once. The movements start to become more complicated. Once we get stronger in that stage, we can then get more dynamic and start adding in multiple planes, working really on functional movements, working on stabilization and that type of thing, okay? So each phase has its own focus, and then each stage is going to progress us through that phase. All right, guys. That's going to conclude our video on the stages of rehab. It might be a little bit confusing right now, but as we go into the videos explaining each stage for each section or each body part that we're going to work on, it'll make more sense and it's a lot more simple. But knowing these variables, right, knowing when, how, and what progression is, knowing the stages, knowing the variables of how to increase our load, right, all of these things will help us actually rehab more effectively and more efficiently and get you back on the field, get you back to work, get you living your life that you want to be able to live, okay?